Write 180 minutes in hours. We know there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Hence, listing out multiples of 60, we've got 60, 120, 180. Therefore, there's 3 hours in 180 minutes. Write 0.73 as a percentage. We know percent means out of 100. When converting a decimal into a percentage, we just multiply by 100. I will move the decimal 2 places into the right. Hence, 0.73 will equal 73%. Work out 10 multiplied by in single brackets 3 plus 5. When we've got a series of operations, we apply the laws of BIDMAS. B stands for brackets. We did our brackets first. Here, 3 add 5 gives us 8. And outside here, I have 10 multiplied by 8. And 10 times 8 will give us 80. Write down a prime number that is between 20 and 30. Well, a prime number only has 2 factors, the number 1 and itself. The only prime numbers that are between 20 and 30, in this case, are 23 or 29. Find a number that is exactly halfway between 7 and 15. To find a number that's halfway, I start by adding up my 2 numbers. Here's 7 plus 15, and I always divide by 2 to find the number that's halfway. 7 add 15 will give us 22, and 22 divided by 2 will give us 11. Harry is planning a holiday for 4 people for 7 days. Here are the costs for the holiday for each person. Work out the total cost of holiday for 4 people for 7 days. My first step is to work out the total cost for each person. Well, I know the travel for each person is 150, so I'm going to write it down. Plus, the hotel is £50 for each day, and they're spending 7 days. So it's going to be 7 times £50, and 7 times 50 gives us 350. So the cost of the hotel for each person is £350. Plus the spending money for each person for the holiday is 250. So I'm going to add on 250. Always starting on the right. 0 add 0 add 0 gives us 0. 5 add 5 is 10. Add 5 gives us 15. So 5 down, carried 1. 1 add 3 is 4. Add 2 is 6. Add 1 is 7. So the total cost of the holiday per person is £750. As we're told there's 4 people and the total cost is £750 per person. I'm now going to do 750 multiplied by 4. Always starting on the right. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20, so 0 down, carry the 2. And 4 times 7 is 28, add the 2 are carried, gives us 30. So the total cost of the holiday for 4 people for 7 days is £3,000. In Adam's garden, the flowers are only red or white or yellow or blue. The chart shows the number of red flowers, the number of white flowers, and number of yellow flowers. The total number of flowers is 30. Work out number of blue flowers. Well, first we're adding up number of red. Red, we know there's 8. White, we know there's 10. And yellow, we know there's in between 4 and 6, therefore is 5. Adding up 8, add 10, add 5. That comes to a total of 23. As we know, there's only 30 flowers in total in this garden. Therefore, I'm going to do 30, subtract 23, which will give us 7. Hence, there's 7 blue flowers. Write down the mode. Well, mode is our most common. Our most common, in this case, is white. Write the following fractions in order of size. Start with the smallest fraction. To compare fractions, we must have a common denominator. Our first step is to work at the lowest common multiple of 3, 4, 12 and 2, which in this case is 12. Hence, I'm going to change each denominator to be out with 12. Looking at my first fraction, what have I multiplied 3 by to get to 12? I've times it by 4. Hence, I must do the same to the top to keep it equivalent fraction. Or 1 times 4 is 4. Look at my second fraction. What have I times 4 to get to 12? I've times it by 3. Hence, I must do the same to the top to keep it equivalent. And 3 times 3 is 9. What have I times 4 to get to 12? I've times it by 3. Hence, do the same to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. What have I times 12 to get to 12? I've done nothing to it, so I leave the same to the top. Keep it at 7. What have I times 2 to get to 12? I've times it by 6. Hence, it's the same to the top. 1 times 6 gives us 6. Now they all have the same common denominator of 12. I can just look at the smallest number on the numerator, i.e. the top. So the smallest number on the top, in this case, is the 3. So therefore, as my original fraction, that's a quarter. My next smallest number on the top is the 4, which originally is my third. So that's the next smallest fraction. My next smallest number on the top, in this case, is the 6, the half. The next smallest fraction, number on the top, in this case, is the 7, which is my 7 over 12. And finally, my largest fraction, therefore, is my 3/4. Ruth left her home at 9 a.m. and walked to the library. She got to the library at 10:30 a.m. Ruth walked at a speed of 4 miles per hour. Work out the distance that Ruth travelled. Well, first of all, we need to know our formula triangle. Our formula triangle is Dad-Sleer triangle, distance, speed, time. In this case, I'm asked to work out distance, distance being letter D. So using your formula triangle, you put your finger over the letter you want to cover up D, and whatever you're left with is your formula. So distance equals S, which is speed. We should know that a vertical line in a formula triangle means to multiply. So it's the speed multiplied by T, where T is our time. Looking at my question, I know her speed, in this case, is 4 miles per hour. So 4 multiplied by the time. As her speed is in miles per hour, we want our time also to be in hours. She left her home at 9 a.m. and she got to the library at 10:30. So between 9 and 10:30 in terms of hours, that's 1.5. It's 1.5 hours. So 1.5 in terms of hours. So I'm going to multiply by a time of 1.5. And 4 times 1.5 will give us 6.